one of them. You know, it's just one of them. Look at the rest of them over here. My wife back there, she stuck with me, you know, through my alcoholism. That's beyond my wildest dreams, you know. So this is the kind of thing, you know, you get sober. You don't expect these things to happen, but then they grow over and over, you know, and the longer you stay in recovery, these things come true. And your life just keeps building, you know. And this is what it's all about. And I have one of the best blessings in the world today to have my family here with me and have it to be able to share this with you. I'm getting full now, and I think I got it.
I just want to say one of the greatest things that recovery has done for my life, okay? I totally attest to alcohol and anything ever had to do with it, okay? So I chose not to drink. You know, I saw how it ravaged my family, and I didn't want it to happen to my life. So what I decided to do was just not even have it be a part of my life, as well as drugs. But I had a lot of other problems that were part of my life, my insecurities and eating problems and things like that. And yes, I even thought about suicide before, and depression ravaged my life. So it came in other ways, in other forms. But I just want to say one of the greatest gifts that recovery has done for me is giving me back my father. My father and I have a great relationship today. And I think about the parts of my life that I would not have in terms of my identity, in terms of things that I allowed was men in my life and things like that. And he's given me back his love when he gave me, you know, when he decided to go into recovery. He gave his family back his love. He made some choices that made him decide to be a man again. And that's one of the things that men that he made to me. You know, the 12-7, how you have to make your amends, and you have to go to your family members, and you have to tell them, you know. Those things changed my life. Those things were very cleansing for me. Those things made me forgive them. I mean, to be honest, when you acknowledge things in recovery and you admit the wrongs that you have done to people, there's a healing that takes place. And I just want you to know that. You may think you can never be forgiven for some of the things that you've done, you know, under the influence, but the amends that you make to your family members is healing. And there may be some children that you have never seen, you know, or you haven't seen in years. You know, there may be some family members you haven't seen in years. Please, if there's anything that you had a part or had something to do with that was wrong, think about going back and making those amends, because you never know. That person may really long to see you again, but they just want you to admit it, and they just want you to acknowledge it. But those are the things that bring healing, you know, back into the lives of other people, and that's what's giving me the stamina and strength to go on. Those are the things that have allowed me to be the person that I am today, allowed me to fulfill my dreams. When I look at my dad, I'm very proud because I'm seeing what he's doing and how he's giving back as a result of the work that he's done for recovery as well. So I just want to say that to you, okay? For 3 weeks in Africa, and it was interesting because the wife and the husband slept on the floor for 3 weeks in the living room, and they gave me their bedroom and, you know, with an attaching bathroom to it that whole 3 weeks. And I was like, wow, you know. When I got there the first night or two, they brought a hot water bottle into my bed, because it was winter there in May. It's winter there now, actually. They're in the heart of winter right now. And while we're in the heart of summer, they're in the heart of winter. And they don't have, like, furnaces throughout their house like we do. They thought that was funny that we had furnaces, but we need them. We have snowstorms. So they're like, well, you know, if we don't have furnaces in our house, so we have heaters, but we don't have furnaces, so they bring the hot water in your mouth in your bed to make you warm and that kind of thing. But these are kind of virtuous things that they do to make you feel comfortable. They're conversating with you all the time. They love to share, tell stories, and teach you about yourself. And they'll tell you, you know, well, this is why we do this. They're explaining things to you. They're helping you to embrace your culture all while you're there. Talk about their faith. They're very believing in one another. They're trusting one another. They're very warm people. Their endurance never runs out. Talk about their trust. How they trust their children. And it was funny because I was thinking, in America, you can never do this. But I was at a home, and as we entered the house, it's interesting how the young people go off. I guess young people do go off and, you know, hang out with one another, but they went to a back room, maybe about 4 or 5 teenagers, the door. And all the parents were fine with that, and off in another room or what have you, but I was like, wow, they trust their children. I can see that happen in America, and you'd be like, leave that door open. What are you doing back here? But I thought I had this several times, and I would get on like Kumbis, they like those taxis and little vans in South Africa, and they trust each other because the people in the back, it would be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats in the back. The person would get on and they would pass their money to the front. Everybody would take the money, they would pass it to the next person, pass it to the next person, so it got to the driver. And things like that, it just showed me. I was like, wow, these things wouldn't be happening in America. So I would see little things like that. Talk about the spirit of cooperation, the spirit of Ubuntu, they call it. Looking out for one another, I got your back. People of all ages know about the spirit of Ubuntu. The young and the old, they know about the spirit of sharing when they're black. When in a township, when they're not able to eat and they don't have enough food, what they do is there were 2 young girls who had lost their mother and their father, a family of 9, and they're on the video. But it was a family of 9 and they lost their parents. And one of the things that the mother had set the stage before she died was for the young people to know who they could go to, and spend time with and food from and that kind of thing. They all look out for one another in their community, and they allow each other to eat and share with one another. They don't desire to keep to themselves. They have like a custom called Mushalano. Mushalano is when a bunch of women come together every month and they pool their resources, about 100 rand. 100 rand would be about almost $20 per woman. And what they would do is, $20 over there can go a very long way, okay? This is a third world country. So it's like $7 for every $1, or $1 American dollar. But what they would do is, Mushalano, they would all come together and pool their resources on a monthly basis, and whoever house they went to, they would bless that person with money to carry them through the rest of the year and help support them in terms of their business, their children, or whatever it was that they needed to take care of. So they do things like that. Talk about their sense of identity. When it's strong, okay, it does not become extinct. When you have worth, you have honor, okay? Their sense of identity, firm, selective, it's enduring. The children walk with integrity, honor, and esteem. I went to a children's beauty pageant, and the children were walking and carrying themselves so regally, and their posture, it was very firm. They believe strongly, in Jesus' kindness and playing the music children, and how important that really is, and looking out for them in that way. And you can just see it in how they carry themselves, and how they smile, and how they walk, and how they were secure. When you approach them, they're warm, they're welcoming, okay? They walk regally, okay? These are children who know themselves, they're proud of themselves, and they believe in their ability. Talk about their names, and their identity. They have names like love, power, happiness, to be given, okay? Miracles. They have names like answer, okay? The names guide them and give them resolution. These names help them pass struggles and difficulties in life. Talk about their strength. Their strength is silent. Their heart concerns are in caring for their people and knowing what they need. The sense of community is everywhere, no matter where you go. In colleges, in the grocery store, on the street, it's everywhere. And you just feel like everywhere you go, you know somebody. And to be honest, in the African American culture, a lot of us just be saying hi, what's up, wherever we go anyway. Just imagine that 10 times intensified when you're walking down the street. And these are the kind of things that made me want to stay there. I was like, wow. It's like a dream. So to help and lead and guide the next generation, that's their strength. The sense of commitment is also a part of the young. The youth speak profoundly, and I was in the classroom, and in the video here, you'll see some of the things they say. They say things like perseverance is the they're builders, okay? Talk about their servitude, how they treat others. They want to make sure you're comfortable. They love you, they seek to please. Warm and pleasurable people who have loving hearts. They're fair and they're forgiving. Talk about their gracefulness. They are content people in so many ways, despite the adversity, the trouble, the poverty, apartheid, diseases and misfortunes with AIDS and TB and all kinds of other things that ravage their families and tear them up and actually are killing our parents. There are so many children there who are raising their families because their parents have died. Both sets of parents have died. And so, where's their guidance? You know, where's they going? You know, they don't have the parents. You know, it's hard. It's like the oppression. They enjoy it. They still embrace life. Every day is an adventure. They take nothing for granted. People not visitors. They welcome and extending stuff. Talk about how reverent they are. They make you feel at home. They trust one another. They honor you no matter where you come from. Their sense of acceptance is for all. And their gentleness and their pride, it resonates in the confidence of the children as well as themselves. Talk about their values, the values of their ancestral heritage. You can see how they shine in action and perspective. You can see it in how they treat you. And I told them when I got over there, you all are kings and queens. And they look at me. And truly, that's our ancestral heritage. And I said, I tell the kids in America, you are kings and queens. They just light up and their faces are smiling. But it's funny how, when you're oppressed and you're dealing with all kinds of discrimination and things like that, and that has been a burden for so long, you don't feel like a king. Okay? So from their perspective, they were like, okay. But yeah, they were reminded and they embraced it. Their values, there's laughter in your voices, in your mouths, music, they talk musical. Okay, they love music. But they'll say things like when you wake up, welcome to Monday. There's one guy who stayed at the house, and every day he was like, welcome to Tuesday. For the whole week he was just like, welcome. And I was like, wow. And I just thought about it. Every day if somebody's woken up and said, welcome to, I might feel like I had a little bit more hope, And so it's things like that they do that really makes you feel comfortable. So their nature, and that's the last one. I want to talk about their nature. Every day in the winter in May, the sun was out shining bright. The smell of the air. Skies are blue in winter every single day. Which is a miracle for Syracuse. I don't know about Rochester, but oh God, it's cloudy all the time in the winter. And there are bright stars, like sands in the seashore. I mean, I saw shooting stars. The stars are nothing like the stars here. We have 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars. Yeah, the whole sky at night is just illumined with stars. Just believing about my ancestral heritage and Abraham and what continent he was on, and we saw the stars. I can see how the seas and seashores and different kinds of stars. About being made a great nation, I can see that. There are diamonds in the earth. There's gold in the earth. The mountains have plateaus on them. It's just weird. I've never seen mountains with flat surface on top. So the things that you see, the value, it's all around you. You see it in nature. You see it in everything that you do. You see it in people. So that's that. I just want to give a quote by Desmond Tutu. To be unthankful, to be unappreciative, is in fact to be disease. He proclaims in the South African prayer to cleanse our spirits of depression, self-pity, and other forms of spiritual leprosy. We have to be thankful. We have to be appreciative. Okay? She eats and stuff, and basically the neighborhood and the community actually take very good care of her. We had actually taken some lunch with us. We had a bunch of sandwiches and things like that when we came. And we just gave her them and everything because we just felt so bad, we couldn't even eat after seeing what kind of condition, what state they were in. But the neighbors and the people actually laughed. She was interesting. A lot of women from the community came over just to kind of, we thought they were kind of being nosy because they saw the camera and everything, but they were coming to check on them to make sure everything was okay. And, but, that's how they look out for one another. They help feed them. They know exactly where to go. They have like 2 or 3 different places where they can go go to their starving, you know, they just can't afford any food. So they go around in the community and that's their family they take care of.
Yeah, you supposed to interesting. You should wrap my understanding with the diamond kid.
Yeah.
I see people like that, you know,
You know, Africa's a very rich country.
yeah, I'm understanding that, Lord. But the politics still exists there, then. Because there's no way, like I'm saying, that I can have all that in my backyard and I have to live in a tent.
The diamonds are owned by the very rich people.
I'm
Go to jail if you go away there.
I was saying, I heard it before that they're heavily guarded with like, weapons and everything.
Yeah, I didn't really see any guards, but I do know that the majority of the diamonds are owned by De Beers family, D-I-E-R-S or something like that. And, so what they do, they own a lot of the diamonds, and they actually monopolize on the production of the diamonds and the things that go on here. So they don't belong to Africans. However, this is the interesting part. There are some Africans that are like diamond polishers, and they actually work polishing diamonds and doing things like that. But there was one woman that I went to who lived in a one-room house. I mean, her house couldn't have been any bigger than, I'm trying to think, I can't even find a space in here that would be smaller than that. That little space right there around the kitchen. That was how big her house was. And she was a diamond polisher, and I'm thinking, oh, diamond polisher, you must get paid a lot of money. Well, not living in a little house like that, you know. You know, so I don't know. You know, there's been huge disparity in terms of, you know, how wealth is distributed and, you know, who gets what. So, like you said, apartheid still exists. Well, not so much in form, but yes, in the mentality and how people live. When you live under oppression like that for so long, and racism and discrimination, it takes you years and years and years to come out under that.
Well, I'm not different. Right here in America, the president, he passed mine is still here. He's still living back here. Minds of people.
And it affects your actions too.
Makeup.
Did you hear anything about the women? Like, even how they feed you for breakfast. Like, they'll give you breakfast, like you'll eat cereal or, you know, oatmeal or something like that in the morning at 9 o'clock. Then at 11 o'clock, they'll feed you again. And you'll have eggs and tomatoes and toast. So you eat big in the morning, you eat big in the evening. They pour a lot of stuff on your plate. I think I gained about 8 pounds. But they love to feed you. They love to give you food. And it's just interesting to see some of the meals that they have and different kinds of food. And one of the things that was really interesting, I treated, I think four or five people ate one day at Burgerland, and we ate for under $16, which is really amazing. So just in terms of how much money goes and how far it goes over there, you know, it's really interesting how you can, enjoy yourself over there. The desserts, they make excellent desserts. They love to eat custard, like different things like that. Love to serve you, always serve you tea and bring you a big platter when you come to the house, talk to the house, and give you food. I mean, it is very much in terms of service. Well, you know, interesting, good question. In this particular house, they have what's like outhouse.